listening to Dudeology, your place for cool stories, awesome stuff, and killer gear. Please like, subscribe, and share on your favorite listening platform. Now sit back and enjoy the show. This episode of Dudeology is brought to you by America, the most kick-ass country in the world. And even though we're a total dumpster fire sometimes, and we think we're all batshit crazy, and you guys probably think we're all batshit crazy too, it is still the best place to live in the world because everybody wants to come here, and I don't see a lot of people leaving. So, brought to you by America. Now enjoy the show. And a great American we have that Chris and I have the opportunity of having back in the studio this evening is our favorite knuckle-dragging, door-kicking, crayon-eating, mamma-jamma United States Marine, Denny McCaffrey. Denny, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back on the show.
You know, I was thinking that when we don't have sponsors, that we can, like, throw stuff like random, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, we're sponsored by America. Like, who would come at you and be like, well, you can't sponsor us? Or like, hey, we're sponsored by Freedom. Or we're sponsored by, I don't know, mouthwash. Because you see that thing on
Justice.
mouthwash, too?
Yeah.
We're sponsored by Justice, right?
We'll get to that, I think. Yeah. But you know what, Brandon? We actually do have a sponsor of the show today.
I don't sit here normally, so what do you got?
America's a great sponsor, obviously. But if you're on YouTube, you got to check these out. And if you're listening online, you want to go to cornnuts.ca on Instagram and check out the Kickin' Nuts. We are sponsored by Kickin' Nuts.
Kickin' Nuts. I didn't see that
brand
sponsor.
new corn nuts company that's going to kick corn nuts' butt.
Sriracha.
Might even kick them in the nuts.
That is awesome.
Anyway, we've got Kickin' Nuts taco truck flavored. What do we got over there, Denny?
We've got a sour cream and onion, and we've got a sriracha flavor. They're no gluten, no trans fat, and vegan. 7 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, according to this package.
Let's open one of these.
What do we got? Let's open one of these. Let's open one. What do you want?
Let's go taco truck.
Let's do taco.
Right.
Taco truck sounds like a
That's
good
meats
start.
in the middle because the sriracha might have been a little bit.
Look at that.
As a former Marine, Denny loves having salty nuts in his mouth. So go ahead, put some in your mouth.
Man, we're starting off this podcast in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, Kickin' Nuts.
And all the listeners get to listen to the crunchy. Those are good. Dude.
These are really good. Be good with a nice beer. I think a really good beer stop.
These could be, this could be, I could eat that whole
Those are delicious.
Yeah.
So is a corn nut, is it corn is it like corn from corn on the cob?
It is
and then
corn.
Made in, like,
Yeah.
And what is it, like baked or something? Or how's it, do you
I
know?
don't know. We were going to have to ask the owner of Kickin' Nuts. I think it's a fantastic name.
You're really good.
But check them out on Instagram, cornnuts.ca.
And there's no way this is the most nuts you've ever had in your mouth at one time, right? Denny, come on.
Is this how we're going to start?
This is how we're going to start. This is how we're going to start.
Is this
Like I
really
said,
how it's going to go?
this is how we're going to start. Out of all the former Marines we could have had on, we chose you for a reason.
Remember, I was in the Marines, not the Navy.
Well, it's the same thing, though, isn't it? Department of the Navy?
The men's department.
Men's department, no.
Well, we used to always say I was on a ship with them, and they'd say, hey, you got to do a Navy shower. And I used to say, which means you have to conserve water and soap.
Okay.
But I used to say, does that mean you got to take one with a buddy? And those old crotchety Master Chiefs didn't like that.
Did you ever have to do that? They made the main Marine guys.
Yeah, because they're conservative. I think they did it every time Marines were on the ship just to F with us, They would, general quarters.
That's awesome.
It's the only time I'll take a kick in the nuts, but kickinnuts.com. Kickinnuts.com.
Very good.
Kickinnuts.com. You can probably check them out on Instagram as well.
Yep.
At Kickinnuts.
Cornnuts.ca on Instagram.
Cornnuts.ca on Instagram.
But moving on to why we have mouthwash here. Why do we have mouthwash?
Okay, so crazy enough, I'm sitting there like traveling this week, and you just got to scroll through some news stories, and then it says, and it says like, do you have the story we pulled up? It says
human coronavirus inactivated by mouthwash oral rinses. It does say it kills 99.9% of germs.
Yeah. So basically, if you got the Rona in your mouth, maybe before it, I don't say matriculates, maybe.
I'm a Rona survivor.
You are a Rona survivor. By the way, I'd like to point something out that you're not maybe of the advanced age that would make you, you know. But look. So you're a little bit north of half century, I think. Right? I'm just guessing.
You're 52.
You got the Rona. And what happened? You felt like shit for a couple days, or what was the deal?
Just little flu-like symptoms.
Okay.
Little headache. Lost taste buds, though. That was weird.
That was weird.
That was weird. And it was a little foggy for about a week after. At least that's what I was calling it.
Okay. So but you're fine. Like now, I mean,
I'm fine. I mean, my middle son actually had the worst symptoms of all of us. He got the sickest, and he tested negative twice.
Wow.
Really? So did he ever have? Did he negative, and positive?
Yeah, but the whole family. I mean, my wife and I had it, and their others all had fevers. And
did anyone have anything? So everyone's recovered.
Yeah.
All right. And your family's in pretty good shape. I mean, you guys are pretty active.
We all eat healthy and active. Yeah. So I think that's the luck of the draw. Really, I think if you don't have a bunch of any underlying health issues, I think you're probably going to be able to defeat it pretty easily just with your immune system. But if you have an immune system problem or diabetes or some kind of lung issue, I'd be careful.
And some of those are like, I mean, look, let's just face it. I mean, some are just like, there's a reason, just don't be fat, right? I mean, some of those are some of those are things as
be a motivator, right?
No, but some of those are like you're going to be able to fight infection and not just this virus, but you're going to be able to fight probably most infections.
That's right.
The better shape you're in.
Yeah.
Some of the things you can't control, right? You're born with kind of some
kind of
things.
exposed our country.
I think a little bit, man. But I'm looking at you. You're not the only one. I mean, you're one of obviously 98.6% of the people that come in contact with this virus that survive and find battle it off. But you're one of just like that we know kind of in this kind of community that like, you're in decent shape, you eat well, you take care of yourself, whatever. You're not a jackass with food or with other bad habits. Yeah, so you feel crummy for a couple weeks and then you're fine. And now you're like freaking Superman, dude.
Yeah. Well, cheers to that.
Well, what we're gonna do though is we're gonna try to neutralize this.
I don't want to get it again. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you can.
So here we go. Listerine. Yeah. So we're gonna just rinse and spit it.
Dude, that was a lot of Listerine, bro.
Boy.
Gosh, damn.
I haven't had Listerine in a while.
Dude, no, that was like a lot. A lot. Hey, I got something ready for you. We're going to do, we've been waiting a while. So the couple things. We're doing Marines on Movies today at the show.
Oh, great.
Okay, this is going to be called Marines on Movies. So what is it? We bring a former Marine in to talk about a Marine Corps movie or Marine Corps based movie. We also happen to be coming up in a couple days on the anniversary of Operation Urgent Fury, which was the invasion of Grenada. So I playing this for you, my friend. If you're watching on YouTube right now, Denny's about to
start marching.
He's about to start marching. That's it. Can I stop? And now my ears. That really is like hurting my ears. But it's called the Marine Corps hymn. Is that a thing? They call it the Marine Corps hymn?
Yeah.
Not like anthem or marching song or whatever?
No.
Okay. Well, that was cool. Historical significance of Grenada, right? Grenada is one of those things that...
We're coming up on the Marine Corps birthday, not too far away.
November 10th.
1775, Ton Tavern.
So how many years?
Only military born in a bar, which makes sense, right?
Sure, it does. How many years is that? 1775?
A lot. I don't know. I was told there wouldn't be math.
Right.
Where's Jeff Hartman?
Jeff Hartman.
Rule of 72. That's all.
Save more than you spend. Episode 4.
Yeah.
4? Episode 4. Or 5, maybe.
Denny comes from episode 3.
And I think I still have the most views, by the way.
I thought Danny Montero was episode 3. Oh, it was Denny. You're right.
Yeah, because you guys did 2 episodes
Battle
first.
Site 0.
I'm sure all of our listeners are loving watching and listening to us trying to figure out what the hell we're talking about on all of our episodes. But when you get to so many episodes, I guess it's just...
Yeah. We've exceeded 20 episodes.
We got to be like Jocko. If you haven't heard episode 3, Battle Site 0, go back and listen. Before, stop what you're doing right now and go back and listen to episode 3. Grab some kicking nuts. But we won't be doing it for 3 hours.
And we're not going to be doing it.
The show would be a
3
solid 34 minutes.
So Grenada was kind of interesting, right? Did you?
I was not.
I wasn't going to ask you that. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of the historical significance of Grenada. Grenada was kind of, if you think about it, it was like the first time that U.S. went on a full flex of like all these like special operations and Grenada is a tiny island. You need to look it up on a map, okay? If it's a tiny island off the coast of Venezuela, there was like some political kind of basically short, but there was a threat that they were going to be overthrown or that they were going to become communist, right?
And that was Cuban involvement, right?
And there was Cuban involvement, man. Yeah, when they invaded Grenada. The guys invaded Grenada. That's who they were fighting against.
Yeah.
The Cubans killed a couple of them, and the Cubans were like, "Stop, we give up." Right?
Yeah.
But supposedly they were either the Cubans, which were rushing back, were going to build an airstrip there. So that was like the big thing. That was the big thing. So Reagan at the time, you got to remember, in '79, Desert One was a miserable failure, right? When they were going to go get the guys from the hostages.
Iran.
Yeah, they were going to like fly, and then it just failed. So out of '79, out of Desert One came the Special Operations Command, right? Which said, hey, we need to be able to coordinate all these guys and bring units together, kind of joint forces.
SOCOM.
Yeah. So to be able to do this. And Grenada, it's fascinating because it's like a blip. You probably don't learn about it a lot in school. But did you serve with any of the guys that were in Grenada?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I've heard people talking about it. But I actually had, believe it or not, had some first sergeants and not gunny sergeants. I know we're going to talk about a famous movie Gunny Sergeant here in a little bit. But I did have a first sergeant who was in Vietnam. Okay. So even when I was in, you still had some overlap with Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, he must have been in a while.
He was a recon Marine, and he was a pretty bad dude.
Yeah. I had this guy, company commander, Patrick Anderson. He's a really cool dude. If you're listening, by the way, Captain Anderson, give us a like, reach out to us, and I'd love to reconnect with you. But he had, the Army guy, we love patches and badges and shit, dude.
Oh,
right?
sure.
Yeah. So if you go, you wear your unit badge on your left, and if you go to combat with that unit, you're awarded to always wear it on your right. If you want to, so you can be in a different unit.
I did not know.
So he had the old school Ranger scroll, which was like this kind of fat looking one that was his combat scroll. He was like a 18-year-old private first class. Jumped into Point Salinas, which was one of the places that they invaded in Grenada, and the mission got so botched up. They were supposed to invade at night, but like it got delayed, so it's like 7 a.m. Like all the Cuban guys or what a Grenada and whatever army were like sitting there having coffee, and they were just going to land and get out of their C-130 and take them out. So then they're like, oh, crap, we got a parachute now, like in flight. They're like, oh, by the way, now we got a parachute in, and so they're getting shot. And it was really, if you read the historical, it was kind of a cluster. But it's really interesting because when Reagan decided to go into Grenada, the UN was like 108 to 9. United Nations condemned them, and Reagan said, when they asked, what the UN condemned you, Reagan said, it did not upset my breakfast at all. That was to that. So he was going to flex the full force. It was time. America needed a flex, right? America needed a full flex. So enough of the history and everything. But this Pat Anderson, I'll remember what made me think of him. He had that badge. I remember the coolest thing he ever said. He stood up, and I think it was like we were going to like one of these schools or it was air assault school, something like they were sending him to basically come back with the badge to motivate us. He was like, how many of you guys plan on going to college after this, right? And several of us raised his hand, and he was like, here's why you need to go. Here's why you need to complete this task, because you're going to be sitting there and you need to take one semester ROTC. And when you do that, you're going to have something, to wear on your chest and everything. He goes, and there's going to come a time that you're out doing some overnight exercise, and there's going to be some females in that ROTC class, and they're going to be looking for someone to comfort them because it's going to be raining and cold. And they're not going to go find the person with none of the badges and none of the stuff on the chest. They're going to come find you. And at that point, you're going to say, thank you, Captain Anderson. And I was like, dude, that was the coolest motivation. We had like the highest pass rate of like any class ever. So he was awesome, which makes me think.
America, we went through a really long period of no real action. You know what I mean? All the way up even through the 90s, even the Desert Storm. You had like, we had the quick invasion of Panama.
Yeah, which was about Grenada was about the same, right? It was about a month and a half.
Yeah, it was a quick deal. We had the Falkland Islands with the British right before that. That was like in the early 80s too, wasn't it?
Did we help out with that?
I don't think so. It was just a show of force.
The British, the Falkland War, Falkland Islands.
Yeah, that was early. That was but there really wasn't. And then you had like Beirut bombing, which was like in 80. So you had some of these things, but you didn't really have any. We weren't involved in any real major conflicts for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So doing that in Beirut was kind of like a shock, where for the country, to show force. Well, and it probably we're going to get in the movie, but it probably spoiled all of us. I mean, it spoiled all of our expectations, and then
you don't leave Iraq.
Yeah.
In 04.
Yeah.
And you don't leave in 05. And you don't leave in Afghanistan. Right? Then there's like, now you're in this like, I mean, because it was, to your point, Grenada, Panama. Panama was Just Cause, Urgent Fury, Just Cause, and then Desert Storm. I guess Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Those three were for all intents and purposes, we're out in what? The war, the fighting was over in, a matter of a couple days. And
Desert Storm, I was there for 9 months, but it was a 3-day deal.
Right. And even the other one with...
the next one, 2006 or
the Iraq, the 04, 03. The initial invasion and toppling the statues in Baghdad. Those were still a couple weeks, maybe.
Yeah, they just rolled right in.
Yeah. So then it's kind of we just kind of get used to things. We get used to things. Don't forget that war is not good. Right?
Yeah. It's easy. Yeah.
It's a hard grinding thing. But we wanted to have you on the show today to have a little fun.
Sure.
There's all these movies out there. There's always war movies. War movies always sell. They always hold well because there's something probably intrinsically like about us that's just fascinating, and especially war movies about Americans. War movies about Marines. There's several of them out there. But today we watched a classic documentary. We call it a documentary, maybe a mockumentary. About Operation Urgent Fury, the invasion, the 1983 American invasion of Grenada, starring Clint Eastwood as Gunnery Sergeant Tom Highway. Tom Highway. This is called Heartbreak Ridge. So the premise of this is that Heartbreak Ridge was a battle in Korea, in the Korean War. So I did the math real quick. So in this Gunnery Sergeant Highway... In this movie, Gunnery Sergeant Highway is in for like 30 years. Like he's like 32 years as a gunnery sergeant.
And he's been demoted several times.
So let's start with the fact versus fiction before we get into some awesome one-liners. If you've never watched the movie, when you're done watching this, please go watch Heartbreak Ridge. It is a cinematic masterpiece of it's just awesome. But we're going to go some fact versus fiction. I want to get your reaction to some of this stuff. Heartbreak Ridge, the character Tom Highway, Gunnery Sergeant Highway. Take it away. You know that guy? You met that guy before? Guys like him?
So there's absolutely some hard ass gunnies and up that were in when I was in. That were just diehard Marines that were lifers. We would call them lifers. They would have their you could see his camis were pressed. You know what I mean? Now he didn't have the best hair. He didn't have the best high and tight. Normally they would have a real clean high and tight haircut. His haircut could probably use a little something. But that had that attitude that they just eat, sleep, and breathe Marine Corps, it would be tough because they'd be right in your face, and they were guys that you could appreciate, and they were hard chargers. They'd be out in town. Yeah. They wouldn't be getting as much trouble as Tom Highway, Gunny Highway was because he was getting in fights all the time. That wouldn't happen. You wouldn't stay in the Corps very long, especially. He was in there early.
83, though?
Yeah, but because when I got in, things changed. With a lot of the staff, like gunnies and staff sergeants I got to know, they were telling me, like, back in the late 70s, early 80s, Marine Corps was kind of crazy. It was kind of a place where, hey, you didn't make it. The cutting scores to get in weren't real high. You could have potentially been, hey, you want to go to jail or you want to go in the Marines, or I'll go in the Marines kind of deal. You had a lot of rough stuff going on out in town, when General Gray came in, who's an awesome general, by the way, Commandant of the Marine Corps, always wore camis. He was just a badass dude. Yeah. And he came in and cleaned it up. Like, he like restricted a lot of things, places where Marines could hang out. He cut down on a lot of the inner Marine Corps violence. Really appearances became critically important, more important than ever. Bigger emphasis on that. But yeah, so early 80s, you could have had some crazy stuff going on, but maybe not as crazy as they depicted.
Yeah. The gunnery sergeant grabbing him by the nose.
Well, I'm telling they would get a little rough. Guys could get rough. Even below that, if you look at a sergeant and platoon leaders, they could get in people's face and get physical.
But service on service, inner service, you mixed it up with some other, within, maybe even within your platoon, not, but maybe, hopefully not, but definitely other platoons, other units, right?
Well,
you mix it up a little bit.
I could think of two really bad incidents. One of them, I was just on Facebook the other day with one of my old buddies I went to sniper school with, and he was talking about Okinawa, and we were in Okinawa, and there was like an NCO club or whatever, and they had a pool hall there. And my buddy Madola's from Jersey, kind of like he was always going to be like a cheap shot, like first guy to hit. He, like if you were going to get a fight with him, you better be ready because he's going to hit you first. There's no question.
That's it. Yeah.
And so he was getting ready to play pool, and I guess
preemptive strike is what that's called.
He was a preemptive strike kind of guy. So we were over there, and somehow he got in an argument with somebody over his place in the pool line. Well, the thing about Okinawa is units overlap. So the unit that's been there for a few months, like they act like they own the place. This is very typical. Like this is our place, It's like very typical.
And so they're getting ready to ship to redeploy, ship back home.
Correct.
You guys are taking over.
We're coming in.
That transition of
like,
power.
No, this is our club. This is my pool table. So the guy scratches Madola's name off. And Madola's like, no, I was going to play next. And he's like, no, you're not. This is my pool hall, blah, blah, blah. Madola goes, oh, okay. I won't play. And I've seen the guys like talking to him. Madola just
talks to the guys just talking. Like,
I mean, out of nowhere.
Like midway through sentence, he just punches them.
Yeah, that's how Madola rolled. And me and my buddy Jake, and we're like, oh, it's on. Next thing you know, it's like full on, like two big, large groups of Marines. I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, there was probably 15, 20 guys on each side rolling out of that place. They kicked us out of the bar. We end up on the softball field. And guys just beating the tar out of each other.
Oh, the fight takes it outside.
Yeah, and
so they just kicked you out. They didn't call any.
Yeah, they were fighting in the parking lot,
just...
and then it spread over to the softball. Then guys were coming out of the barracks down the hill. There were reinforcements coming in. I mean, it was like a crazy.
And this is before cell phones, so like people just hear the fight and they're like, let's just get it.
Oh, it's nuts. And then people were, and I remember the calling cry of the other unit was like, "Where's Madola?" Like they didn't even know who Madola is. And so that happened, and I remember a guy got.
How'd you guys pop smoke and get out of there? How'd you?
Well, eventually MPs came in and broke it up, but one guy got like hit in the head with like a pipe and like knocked his eye out or something. I mean, this is Marine Corps.
Like his last night in country or something. Right?
And then the other one was the Cheryl's Massacre, which we affectionately called it as. It was a bar. It was a bar that was so Camp Geiger is where. The infantry training school is.
And where is it? Like Camp Lejeune. Camp Lejeune, so North Carolina.
And you have Camp Geiger, and then you've got the New River Air Base, and then you've got Sneed's Ferry, which is where the sniper school was and stuff. And it's really cool. They've actually got all this direct action.
And this is the home of the 2nd Marine Division?
Yeah, it's all 2nd Marine Division. But Geiger was primarily was for the infantry training school, right? But then 1st Battalion 6th Marines still live there. And we lived in open squad base.
So you were stationed there. That's your duty station.
We only got back from Desert Storm and we moved main side. But
open squad bay is similar to the movie. So that's a true thing. They live in the open.
We were
open.
2nd Marine Corps Recon was not living like that. Yeah. I mean, because I knew guys who were there. Yeah. But they were at Onslow Beach actually, which is on the far side, northeast side of Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
Right out at the beach. That's where because they're swift, silent, deadly. You saw shirts. They're all like amphibious. They're kind of like our version of SEALs more or less. Or battalion level recon. Anyway, the Cheryl's thing. They decided to have this low. Hey, $5 all you can drink kind of deal, which is really stupid. If you in any Marine Corps town, anyway.
Unless you're a Marine, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was a really bad idea. So, the bar is, once again, this is known as an air winger bar. So these were Marines that work in the air wing, which we don't really consider Marines if you're an infantry.
Sure.
So, we decided we were going to go there and take over that bar. And nobody was there initially. And we got there early because it was $5 or whatever stupid deal they were doing. And everybody's drinking. Next thing you know, the air winger starts showing up, and they're kind of upset that we're taking over their bar. And
these are guys that like
their girls.
I mean, like maybe they load mechanics, or maybe they load munitions on fighters or
the officer
whatever.
Pilots wouldn't be engaging in this activity.
Okay, sure.
So anyway, long story short is somehow once again fight starts. It might have been Madola again. He was there. But
this guy on the show.
He's the one friend.
Yeah, we should. I've lost track of him actually. I don't know where he is. He may be dead because somebody may have finally caught up to him. But my buddy Jake and I were there, and we all the fight once again poured out of the bar into the parking lot, and the air wings did not effectively attack us in the right manner. They kept sending out like one or two at a time, and they would come out, and we could hit them from the flank or the front. I mean, we had them in help. So it was bad, but there was one big guy they had, kind of like the Swedes.
The Swedes, yeah,
like the Swedes. They had one big guy, and he came running out, and he went to go kind of charge up with my buddy Godwin, and they were about ready to tee off. Godwin was kind of like honestly shitting his pants because this guy was pretty big. But this dude Russo jumped out of the back of his truck and ran with a Prestone can, like one of those Prestone like big plastic
like gas can.
Yeah, and just bam, and just two-handed
hit the guy with the gas can.
Hit that dude in the head, and he went down.
The Swede went down.
Yeah, and then I think maybe more stuff happened. But anyway, then the next day we were leaving for Okinawa, and I thought for sure like somebody's going to come and say like, hey, there's a dude that's in the hospital that got hit with a can.
I bet you guys were like wheels up. You were so glad. You're like, finally, we got
like, it was like just before Okinawa, and then we get to Okinawa, and then it happens all over again. I'm like, and that's when I made the guys. It's no lie, Chris and Brennan. I said I am not getting in any more of these altercations because at some point I'm going to be the guy getting hit in the head. I can't. I mean, you get a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old men, all drunk, all jacked up, all testosterone, think they can run through a brick wall, and you disrespect them, whatever. They just do stupid stuff. But you see guys get hurt, man.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like a fight from Anchorman, where somebody's going to start throwing a trident.
It is. You can easily.
You may want to lay low for a while there, Brick. Right?
The next day, he's saying that to his buddy. You might want to lay low.
I'm just grateful I got out of there unscathed.
So that happens all the time, right? And a big part of it is like, look, dudes are going to be dudes, right? You can figure it out. You're kind of whatever, and so that's part. Fact or fiction? I'm going to go a couple.
Sure, yeah.
We'll pull a couple things from. We'll just kind of Chris and I will just kind of throw some things at you. Fact or fiction? When Highway, I want to back up a little bit. I think in the movie, Highway gets a lot of leadway because he's a Medal of Honor.
That's right. But they kind of didn't reveal that until
later. But because I think that you kind of start to put the piece together. And I didn't there were few surviving or active duty Medal of Honor winners. I don't know.
One of the few I can think of.
Yeah, but that was years after 1983. So I think that was a key. The premise of the movie was that Highway he was kind of a drunk, liked to fight, but a great war fighter.
That's right.
A great war fighter. He fights, they challenge him in this movie, right? His new platoon, his quote unquote recon platoon, he takes over, and they challenge him with their champion, their Goliath, the Swede, right? They put him up against it, and they fight. So did you, fact or fiction? BS or
I've never seen, I shouldn't say I've never seen, I've seen a couple altercations that took place between a NCO and a Lance Corps.
Okay.
Direct
chain of command?
No, in same platoon.
Okay.
Same platoon. Because somebody mouthed off, mostly because they didn't report up. Or if they didn't respect somebody, didn't report up. I've seen some altercations happen. But a gunny? No way. Yeah. There's no way. I don't know. I never saw that. And not in the manner that they depicted it. Like, they were not doing anything. We got the Swede who's going to kick your ass. I mean, that's just not happening. Yeah. The gunny would have just marched right out of there. They would have got the MPs. They would have pulled him.
Right. The general level of disrespect. Right. Where they're supposely in this quote-unquote recon
with
platoon.
The wrong, with
the T-shirts and
with weird clothes on and sunglasses and hair. I mean, that does not happen in the Marine Corps. I can tell you right now.
So is that why, fact or fiction, is that why he fires real AK-47 bullets at their feet when they're running?
And that's another thing that would not happen.
He wants them to hear what the sound of an AK-47 sounds like.
The quote is, this is the AK-47 assault rifle. It makes a very distinct sound when fired. It's the preferred weapon of your enemy. Or maybe I mixed, but it's
the preferred weapon of your enemy. It's
a
very distinct sound.
And he's shooting it at him, right? And then
you'd think they're going to shoot maybe up in the air, 5 feet over their heads. But
well, first, how does one how does one get an AK-47 assault rifle stateside? Okay, let's just say that, right?
You might have had an AK-47.
Okay, well,
I
you
could
could
see
probably
them shooting at the range or whatever, and maybe making the sound.
Maybe, but then to check that out, and then to have the 7.62 rounds with it, and then just to show up behind them. And I know you're a hard ass and everything, Gunny Highway, but probably would have been
even in 1980, whatever that was.
Yeah,
that wasn't.
Yeah, no, it wasn't happening. I do remember doing those exercises where they would like shoot 60 rounds and you have to crawl on them and whatever, but you still get like a 6 foot. It's like, don't stand up, you're fine, but it's not like someone shooting at your feet or anything. What about when the guy has the accidental discharge, remember? On the range, he whips the M16 around and he's
that does happen. ADs happen.
Yeah, but what was cool about that, and I'll ask you, like, who was the guy, the major? He was total.
He was an Annapolis guy.
He was an Annapolis, total. But the young lieutenant for recon platoon stood up for him. Remember they both went in there and he was like, how
about when he made him run with the rifle over his head around the platoon as they run back and he fell down, and then he said, and the major came back and he got up and he's like, recon! And he said, what'd you tell him? I said, I told him not to give the prick the satisfaction.
Yes.
And I was like, that was pretty good.
That's a great line. So a gunnery sergeant's an E7 in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Again, probably 30 years, you probably still wouldn't be that rank. You'd have been asked to.
Well, you could tell the buddy of his was a master sergeant, or was it first
sergeant major, first sergeant major.
Which that would have been more likely, right? And the guy was. It was funny the way they interacted with each other is very much Marine Corps like, though.
Yeah.
The way they just
the way that he addresses this major, though. I mean, what do you think? Fact or fiction?
Nah, it's fiction. I mean, they would.
For a documentary, we're getting a lot of fiction.
I think you could have some snarky remarks, I'm sure, and get away with some of it, possibly, because he was a Medal of Honor winner, because he had such a long tenure and he was well respected. But to completely throw him under the bus, like in front of that other major, or I think it was the major or colonel that came, and he said, how is this? He said, this is a clusterfuck.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, we shouldn't be filling out administrative paperwork and all this right in front of, I just, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah. No, it was, and that line, right, comes up later when they're going to.
He didn't do any clusterfucks like that.
Well, Highway puts his blues on, and he's got like the chest candy is like stacked up past his neck, all his awards, and everyone wants to see the Medal of Honor winner or whatever, and he meets that colonel or whatever. He's like, is it still a clusterfuck or something like that? He's like, yeah. So it's pretty good. I would. There was some salty though. There's some salty E8, C7s, E8, C9s.
Sure.
I mean,
like I said, I had a first sergeant who was in Vietnam. That's a pretty long time to be in.
Yeah.
And he still worked out with us and did a bunch of stuff. He was a trip, First Sergeant Castro.
And a solid little thread, and you probably may have seen this. Did you see, when y'all were getting ready for like Desert Storm, like they're getting ready for Grenada in this movie, y'all were getting ready for Desert Storm. There's a lot of people have ideas on like how war should be fought that have never fought war.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think that's what kind of the premise of of this situation when you're getting with the officer. They're like, we're gonna build this. We're gonna fight this battle this way. And Highway's like, they ain't happening, dude. Right? That's not how it's gonna go. Like that's not. I've been there. I've been experienced, and I think you get a lot of that sometimes. I mean, not.
Well, I think the time I was in, with the exception of a rare few. Most people did not have combat experience. So that's where, I think they've talked about it on a few of the Jocko episodes because it's interesting. Then now there's a ton of experience, right? Mm-hmm. There's guys who've been 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And so to have that type of experience into the training and to be able to bring that back and make training legit. Mm-hmm. Like I did that Miles gear training that they had with the
you had the little it's like laser tag.
And it would ring and everything. We had good tried true training, right, that had been developed for a long time. But I think when you look at modern era now, there's so much more. The advancement that can happen so rapidly because of the real life experience that so many people have coming back is incredible. Yeah, we didn't have that. We absolutely did not have that.
No, you got a deep well to draw it up for sure. What do you think some of the most egregious misnomers of this movie Heartbreak Ridge are, according to the in your experience? Like, what are the ones that you saw that you're like, dude, that no way that would ever happen? Total BS.
Look,
total BS.
I don't know. I don't even know what the purpose of that training exercise was, where they dropped in and they had to like race to a point.
Was that the boat? Wait, no, they went the helicopter and they dropped in the water. Or
they jumped out of a helicopter.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And then they had an argument of who got there first, and then they had a big they had a fight.
With, was it third platoon?
That would not happen.
I wanted to know why they had all these boats going in, and then they dropped these guys out of a helicopter to swim in with all their gear.
Yeah. But that was the Grenada.
During the Grenada.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's military one. They won't see you guys coming if they.
But everyone else is just taking the amphibious vehicles.
Let's make it as hard as we possibly can. Yeah, and go slowly. But yeah, there was just a lot of weird stuff that I mean, and when they're just the way they're walking around patrolling, the whole the way the way they looked, like no matter how, even if it was the F troop of F troops, I don't know if you guys know, F troop is like this really crappy old cavalry unit back in the TV show back in the 70s. If it was like the worst, a Hogan's Heroes type outfit, they would not look like that. And not in the Marine Corps. I mean,
way.
There's no way. And it wouldn't matter that they didn't have a leader there. You would have an interim leader. There would be somebody there. Somebody would.
These guys are like hanging out and like smoking weed and drinking.
Guy had an earring.
No, he was a rock. He was a rock. He met him on the bus. Remember, he was the guitar player. I forget his name.
Mario Van Peebles.
Yeah, Mario Van Peebles. Nice pull.
He had like what is it? The George.
The Jerry curl.
Yeah, George Michael.
George Michael is the long dangly, like the long.
And he had like a weird. He was terrible too. It's like whatever that he was doing, just singing and rapping.
But I will say, he couldn't have picked a better actor than Clint Eastwood to be a Marine.
Oh no, that was dead on. No, that was very good. I think it was very good. Like I said, and there were salty guys, like him, that would have been built like him, would have looked like him, would have had that attitude. They wouldn't have been quite as brash, but yeah.
Is this supposed to take place in Lejeune, like in Second Marine?
Was supposed to be Second Marine Division, but it wasn't filmed there. It was filmed out in California. I think part of it in San Diego, part of it in Pendleton. I think, if I remember right, because the Second Marine Division does not look like that at all. Yeah. Now, interesting thing is they had a first sergeant out there. I went to cyber school with a number of guys from Second Recon Battalion and also from Second Force Recon. Mm-hmm. Now, Second Force. If you went out to their unit, some of those, they used to come to me and say, hey McCaffrey, can I borrow one of your uniforms? I don't know where the hell my uniforms are. Those guys would be in PT gear like all the time. And they when they'd go on deployments, sometimes they, you might see they have beards and stuff. So their grooming standards weren't the same as infantry, the different type of deal, civilian clothes a lot. So I could see that maybe, but battalion level recon or Second Marine Division,
which is what this is supposed to be, right? This isn't force recon, meaning it's like special forces and special ops guys. These are battalion level recon.
Now most of those guys have jump wings. Most of those guys have scuba qual. Most of those guys have gone to some high level shooting schools, sniper school potentially. Have done a lot of pretty cool stuff, SEER school maybe, but and they're pretty high speed, low drag, but they would be more like an infantry as far as their grooming standards and things. What I mean, the guys I knew anyway, they were different. But they had a first sergeant over there, First Sergeant St. Pierre, and I'm trying to remember. He was from another country. Anyway, he originally he was born, but he's a Marine, so he's obviously American. But he the rumor was that he would run barefoot, and then he ran like had some crazy PFT, like a 15-minute 3 mile or something, and he would run everybody's dick in the dirt, and then while he was running, he would eat pistachios. Like there's this whole like legend of this guy, right?
Maybe I wonder if he would eat kicking nuts if it was.
Yeah, he might eat these kicking nuts.
He doesn't have to shuck them like while he's running. He could run faster.
Exactly.
There's another gunny that I heard about. A couple of my old platoon leader came from Hawaii, which is 3rd Marines, and he was stationed out there, and there was a gunny out there, or he might have been a first sergeant or master. I'm not sure, but he was an old salty, like kind of like a Clint Eastwood guy, an African American guy, if I remember right, because somebody showed me a picture of him, and he showed me a picture of the guy. Just typical, high and tight, just looked like he could hit him in the head with a shovel and not hurt him. And he apparently ran the the base had one of those dogs like Ugga, like the University of Denny, like a Marine Corps dog, like as a mascot, and he ran the dog, and the dog died because he ran him so hard. And he brought the rumor has it that he brought the dog back and put it on the battalion commander's desk and said, "This dog is a non-hacker, sir." And so that was the rumor.
Awesome.
So you
know what? No, that's not rumor, man. You go with that and you just say this is like true. You make that into legend. That's true. That's too good of a story to say it's a rumor. You just go with it. You say this is true.
These are legendary Marine Corps things.
This is awesome.
So
this is awesome.
To wrap this up,
we got to
go. And for all of our listeners out there, we'd like your opinion on social. Favorite gunnery sergeant from a movie. So I'm going to ask you, Denny, is it Tom Highway from Heartbreak Ridge or Gunnery Sergeant Hartman from Full Metal Jacket?
The late
Hartman.
The actor's name.
Yeah.
They both have multiple quotes and lines.
I gotta go with Hartman because Ermey, right?
Lee.
You gotta look it up. If only there was a way.
If only there was a way to look this information. What's going on here?
But he because Full Metal Jacket is dead on. I've got my boot camp book here. That he was just so dead on. He was a legit Marine. I mean, he's a legit Marine, right? And his
R. Lee Ermey.
He was just the way he would talk, the way he carried himself, the whole 9 yards was perfect. Because if you notice, there's little things in Heartbreak Ridge, like even the way Clint Eastwood wore his cover, not quite Marine Corps.
Okay.
He pulled it down a little too much. It wasn't like Marine Corps is usually. And there was guys kind of wearing their uniforms. I just looked the way they uniforms or the way they walked. It wasn't quite, there was some things. Marines are there's very specific things that Marines do. And I did notice he pressed his camis up pretty starchy though, which is
that's an old school thing. These new kids don't know that thing. You don't have to. They don't have to press and spit shine. That's not a thing anymore, man. It's ridiculous too. Because why would you press a uniform that you were going to? Anyway,
when you're back in the rear, man, you had to look sharp.
Had to get that
new haircut from Shaky Jake.
Had to look good. Okay, star rating as Marine Corps movies go. All right, we have several of them. 5 stars. Being, let's say, the 5 stars, 5-star rating. Star rating for Heartbreak Ridge as a former Marine. How many stars do you give?
Out of 5?
For entertainment, it's like entertainment.
I mean, for entertainment value, I'd give it at least a 3 because it's very entertaining and the lines are great. And who cares? Who cares if it's not accurate? It's just you're there for fun anyway, right? And those lines are, unbelievable. We started reading. I got a whole bunch of them here.
You can give us one.
Give us one. Pick one out and just give it to us.
I'm mean, nasty, and tired. I eat concertina wire and piss napalm. I can put a round in a flea's ass at 200 meters. So why don't you go hump somebody else's leg in my face before I push yours in?
That's a good way to end.
From Gunnery Sergeant Tom Hyman. I can't top that, man. I can't. I can't top it. But what I can tell you is check this movie out for real. It is a very entertaining movie. It's a very entertaining movie. Go, just get on YouTube or Google. Look up Urgent Fury, Operation Urgent Fury. It's good to know about that. I think it's good to always know kind of any
I'm actually going to look it up. I haven't read about it.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. Fun, weird fact, the maps they were given, because you had Rangers, you had SEALs, you had Special Forces, you had Marines, you had 82nd, you had a ton of forces going in all at once. They were all giving tourist maps of Grenada because the CIA, no one had actual maps and topography and everything. So they were like a tourist map. They're like, maybe I should stop here for shaved ice. And, come on. It's crazy. It's amazing that we only lost 16 people during that that conflict. It really is.
Panama, we lost that SEAL team, right? Because of, again, lack of coordination.
Yeah.
probably putting them in a mission that wasn't appropriate.
Yeah. So entertaining Heartbreak Ridge. For the serious facts, check out Operation Urgent Fury. Fury, excuse me. And for some other cool stuff and awesome stuff, cool stories and killer gear, check out Dudeology show. Check us out on social media. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, like, share. We love doing fun things like this. Denny, for you, we're going to take you out with this, my friend. And thank you for joining us. And to all our listeners, go get some out there.
Marine Corps.
Thanks for listening to Dudeology. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. For a full library of shows and more information about Dudeology, check us out on social media at Dudeology Show or dudeologyshow.com.